Tomorrow night's 48 Hours has the story of an extraordinary murder case. It involves a war hero, a prison escape, a hijacking with a multi-million-dollar ransom, and a 40-year worldwide manhunt. And as Susan Spencer reports, this case has touched 5 generations of the victim's family.
This is the window I stood in when I waved goodbye to my dad the last time.
Much of Ann Patterson's past is boarded up, and for decades, she tried to keep it that way.
My father was brutally beaten and shot in a robbery of his gas station. It haunts me to this day.
It was never spoken of in the house at all.
These were not here.
Ann's daughters, Terry and Jackie, knew almost nothing of their grandfather's murder.
We knew it was a quiet subject for a reason and
Yeah.
not to bring it up.
Walter Patterson came home from World War II with a Bronze Star. He opened a gas station in Wall Township, New Jersey, and was alone there one evening in November 1962.
It was a simple robbery of a gas station.
Having worked this case for more than a decade, recently retired FBI agent R.J. Gallagher, Rick Cope of the U.S. Marshals, and Dan Klotz of the New Jersey Department of Corrections know exactly what happened next.
The night of the incident, 2 young men came right through that door with loaded weapons.
Investigators say Walter McGee, then 22, and George Wright, then 19, beat Patterson savagely.
He was beaten so severely that he was unrecognizable.
2 days later, Patterson died. Police soon caught his attackers and both pled no contest to murder and went to prison. But in 1970, Wright escaped.
They hot-wired the warden's car.
Yes.
He ended up in Detroit, joining the Black militant movement.
He hijacks an airplane, he threatens to kill people.
The hijackers are described as 3 men. One of the men was dressed as a priest.
That priest had smuggled a gun on board in a hollowed-out Bible.
And I said, look, uncock that gun, we can talk. I said, now what do you want? He says, we want $1 million if we want to go to Algiers.
The hijackers demanded, of all things, that the FBI agent deliver the money naked. In the end, they did let him wear a bathing suit.
The DC-8 quickly departed with the largest ransom in the history of hijacks.
Fueled by a mixture of radical politics and rage against the system, George Wright was about to become one of the most wanted fugitives in America.
George Wright has been on the run for 41 years. I got a phone call that it's 100% your guy.
What an incredible story, and Susan Spencer is here. So how did they finally track him down?
Good old-fashioned fingerprints, but they will not tell us. They absolutely will not tell us how they used those fingerprints to locate him or how they knew even where to look. He was living in Portugal at the time on the coast with his family.
Wow.
And what has he said since he was arrested?
He
Since they
says,
found him?
yeah, his lawyer absolutely refused to let us speak with him, but he is featured heavily in this hour. And essentially what he says is that this was the 70s. He was a victim of racism. He sees himself as a crusader for social justice. And he points to his life since to say that he's a changed man and that he feels, I think, that he's paid his debt.
Sometimes when this happens, they will always say, I knew this would happen one day.
Yeah.
I think that George Wright probably didn't feel that way. Remember, his initial crime, the murder of Walter Patterson, this amazing war hero, was 50 years ago. It was 40 years since he escaped from prison. So I think he thought he was home free.
So how challenging was it to cover a story that had taken, place over 4 decades, 5 decades? Yeah.
To me, that was part of the appeal of it. And the amazing thing was that the events of this story are so remarkable that the people involved, some of them are sort of old, they remember every second. And that pilot could tell you every second of the time he spent with George Wright in the cockpit. Plus, as you saw in that little clip, we have these amazing pictures from the original story that CBS did at the time of the
guy in his bathing suit delivering the ransom money.
Everybody fixates on the demand for the naked FBI agent.
And lest we not forget the victim's family, how dedicated they were to seeing this
and they
to the end.
still are. And the thing of it is, there have been 2 requests for extradition, both of which have been turned down. And it's unclear if George Wright will ever be sent back here.
Susan Spencer, thank you.
Thank you.
And you can see Susan's full report, The Hunt for Mr. Wright, on 48 Hours tomorrow night at 10, 9 Central, right here on CBS.